Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Winter Season Showdowns, where you're currently watching a best of 5 of the SEA region between Moonglade and Sen. Before we get on into game number 2, youtube.com/official MLG SC2 is your source for any game you missed in the Winter Season Showdowns. If you missed Violet versus Tasia, if you missed MC versus Alive, if you missed Thorzane versus Sake, definitely go check those out. Again, all available in 1080p HD at youtube.com/official MLG SC2. The games are usually up there pretty much as the stream goes down or as soon as possible after the live stream goes down. So definitely take advantage of that if you missed anything. That being said, let's go ahead and get into game number 2 of this best of 5 between Sen and Moonglade, where Sen is currently leading 1-0. He is your Red Zerg player in the top left-hand location on Team Gamma Bears. Really wants that trip to Dallas, Texas to participate in that championship event. His opponent in the bottom right is Moonglade, the Blue Zerg player, currently down 1-0, but he has the ability to come back. Moonglade is a very cheeky player. I think he has it in him.
Cheeky is a good word to describe this guy. He's got all kinds of tricks, and I think what he wants to do versus Sen is, honestly, I think he wants to draw the game out as long as possible, because talking about pure macro, Sen is almost untouchable. Like, he's just a macro monster. And so, in the mid-game, just get more units than you.
Yep. Right?
And if he has more units, it's going to be very hard to defeat him. But, if you get to the very late game, you'll both have, equal amount of units, because they'll both be tuner food. And that's where all of a sudden, if you are very clever with your units, you're very good at positioning and tactics, you can try to get a better engagement, maybe out-control your opponent with your spellcaster units. Something like that, and Moonglade has a really, really good shot to take this. Ohan is a pretty good map for defensive play as well, so I really want to see him do that. The first game, he's like, well, I know he's so scary in the mid-game, let's try to take him out early. Didn't work out, man. Sen is all over those early shenanigans.
Yeah, of course, Moonglade did take a pretty big hit to his economy when he decided to go for that earlier pool play, when he decided to make all of those lings and try to hide them from Sen. But Sen taking the safe route, putting down that Baneling nest just in case something like that happened, was prepared, was able to make 2 Banelings right away when he saw the lings extending across the field, and was able to negate the damage from there. And of course, at that point, Sen was so far ahead, it's very difficult to face off against the Sen that is ahead that far and is able to just extend his advantage as time goes along.
A scary Sen is one who's ahead in the game, of course. Both players going pool, then hatchery this game. An opening I really like to see your players. It's safe, but it's pretty economically focused too. Then adding in the gases, of course, you do want to get speedings, because that's what gives you the map presence, gives you the scout information, it gives you the threat that you could go attack your opponent. Of course, that threat will force them to make those defenses, the billion nests, the spine cores, etc. So looking like a very similar game from both players.
Yeah. It's like they're copying each other's moves in chess.
Exactly. Of course, no one got the first move. They're
right.
both playing simultaneously here in Heart of the Swarm. Sen, a slight difference, getting 2 Zerglings. Moonglade hasn't built any Zerglings yet, which I really like. Why not just go pure drones? Zerglings are nice to scout, but early on, as long as you know basically what they're doing, you can just say, okay, if he makes 2 Zerglings, I'll defend us with a queen, and then I don't have to, I can just be that 1 drone up.
Yeah, I mean, I guess one reason would be to scout. You can try to sneak one of the Zerglings into your opponent's main base and see if they're going to, just how much gas they're actually going to end up mining. But again, Moonglade obviously not feeling pressure to do that. Of course, he can make lings, a few moments later and then have a slight advantage. We see Sen going to try to sneak inside his opponent's main base, accomplishing what I mentioned before. And he's going to spot the amount of gas that's being mined here from Moonglade. Of course, he started speed. Sometimes Zerg players will take guys out of gas or take 2 guys out of gas, but Moonglade keeping all guys in gas, and Sen is going to see that.
He is. There's 1 Zerg left from that scouting party, only with 7 life though. The goal is if he can get in there and see the baiting nest timing or lair timing, roach worm time, that's really what he wants to see, specifically the lair timing. Baiting nest roach worms are usually built to help wall in the natural, but the fact that he saw no lair and he knows the amount of gas that was mined, he can then extrapolate the information that there is a baiting nest or roach worm or something going down in front of the natural. Heart of the Swarm, roaches aren't very common. Mutas play is kind of the standard because, of course, they're faster, they regenerate, and the fungal growth got a slight nerf. So But just knowing they're not going crazy fast there is a little bit of a nice boost in your information.
These guys showing a lot of respect for each other in this game. I feel going for pretty much identical builds. We're seeing the Baneling Nest complete for both these guys. Layer starting a little bit sooner here for Moonglade. Meanwhile, Sen, he has the gas to start a layer, getting to about 160. But still no layer, adding on a second gas. Yeah,
Sen's just got a lot of gas. Really wants to spend all those minerals on drones now. Actually, a Roach Warren coming down. Wow.
No layer. He definitely wants to be aggressive with. I don't see another reason.
With 3 gases.
Yeah.
You know, there's 2. He might do some using all that gas to make a ton of banings and do a Roach baning timing. That's something I've seen him do before. I mean, I haven't seen him play much Heart of the Swarm, but in Wings of Liberty, to do this build. There's him and like 1 or 2 other Zergs really like this build. Losira was one of them. Where you just try to get in there, and you know people rely on the fact, okay, if I have a Queen, a Spine Core, and like 2 Banings, I'm invincible. Because they can't run with a lot of Speedings, because my Banings will kill them. And if you're running with Banings, I have the Queen and a Spine to kill those. But what can break that defense is a significant amount of Roaches backed by Banings. That's exactly what Sen's going to do. The timing's so thin, though, because once Mutas come out, that obviously puts a clock on the units as they can't shoot up.
Yep, absolutely. Of course, you know, there's a significant amount of damage you could potentially do, even if your opponent gets Mutas, because of the high DPS potential of the Roaches, of the Lings, of the Banelings. You can just go after the drones, and even if your opponent has Mutas, you can just camp with Spores, and you'll be fine. But look at this, a lot of Lings getting into Sen's main base. I don't think he had... Oh, actually, sorry, those are Moonglade Lings pursuing the Lings of Sen there. Sen getting some scouting information, spotting the Spire, and now he knows in his mind the clock has definitely begun. He's putting down the layer behind this, adding in a lot of Zerglings. See how much damage he can do.
Moonglade sees the Roaches. He's building a lot of Spine Cores, but they're not going to be up in time. He's got a lot of Speedings of his own, though. There's no Banings left, so Speedings can actually delay this Roach attack. They may even get a decent trade here.
Going for the surround, but realizing, okay, you know what, that's probably too much for me to deal with. I'm going to back
Just trying
away.
to scare the Roaches. I mean, any time he can buy is great. The Spines, a lot of Banings coming up from Moonglade. I like this decision because you know your opponent's going to rally in Speedings, so you got to have the Banings to counteract that. Meanwhile, he's going to do the engagement. The Spines are going down, though. Roach is cutting backward. Banings coming up from Sen as well.
Sen making those 4 Banelings outside of his opponent's natural expansion. Here come the Banelings from Moonglade, trying to get those efficient hits onto the Roaches. Decent splitting there from Sen, trying to stay alive. He's up 78 to 60 in supply. 5 Mutas in production here from Moonglade. The 4 Spine Colors getting finished up. Is that what he needs to get those Mutas up in time? Sen trying to do as much damage as possible, sending in more Banelings, more Roaches. But I think Moonglade is going to hold this off. He has 8 Mutas in production, and once those pop, again, Sen has nothing that shoots up.
He doesn't. Muta's going to start focusing units down. Speeding's rallying out as well to help out versus the Roaches. You're right. It looks like Sen's attack has been held off, and I don't think he only got like 1 or 2 drones at most.
He got 1 drone.
Oh, a massive
my God,
Baning explosion. If there was just 1 more Baning, all those drones would have died. As it is, though, red drones still mine just as well as green ones. And the Mutas are countering. What does Sen have to defend? He's just now building Spores. He's got a couple Queens. He's going to try to put on counter-aggression with Speedings to make sure the Mutas stay on the defensive.
I mean, it's catch-up time for Sen, and I don't mean hot dogs. He's a little bit behind here. He wasn't able to get damage done with that push. He sacrificed a lot of his economy to do that, and his opponent has Mutas on the field, which he has to try to defend. They're going to go straight for the 3rd base. It would seem maybe target down the Spore, target down the Queen, but Sen still going to try to be annoying with this counterattack with these Speedlings, but behind this, Moonglade adding on those Banelings, instrumental in defending that aggression.
Moonglade's using, he's got the Banings for defense. He may take some damage at his 3rd, though, as there's Speedings from the hatchery. There's nothing there to defend that. Moonglade's, he's sending the Speedings and Banings. Meanwhile, the 3rd of Sen is being focused down by the Mutas. It is going to go down, but will Sen equalize by killing Moonglade's 3rd.
The hatchery getting targeted down here. The 3rd base of Sen is exposed, and yes, it does go down. Meanwhile, the hatchery staying alive just barely. 127 HP on that 3rd hatchery from Moonglade, able to bring the Banelings and Zerglings back to deal with that, which means Moonglade is definitely going to be ahead in this game. Up 86 to 62 in supply, but when behind, Infestors. Sen has Pathogen Glands on the way. He's moments away from queuing up some Infestors. Of course, very nice in dealing with Mutas, but Moonglade, he's going to stick with the Muta production, which means Sen might have a way back here. If he can get a magical fungal growth, that would be one big step into getting back into this game.
That's exactly what he needs to do. Oh yeah, exactly what Moonglade needs to do. Make sure that there were infestors they couldn't pick off all of the mutas. One thing you can do in Heart of the Swarm is you can do things like send in the mutas and pick off a drone or two, because the damage that gets put out on them will be regenerated much faster than it would in Wings of Liberty. You can trade away muta life for damage, as that life will regenerate. What Moonglade wants to do is wants to keep on pressure and then drone up his third, take an economic advantage. Of course, Sender is going to try to reestablish his own third.
All right, Sen has 3 queens here at the natural. The infestors just now popping up, and now we have to be ever watchful of the mutas getting fungled, taking down a Spore, taking down an Overlord there at a third. Sen, is he going to try to push out and catch Moonglade off guard? Not just yet. Doesn't want to reveal the infestors just yet. But Moonglade's going to be happy right now. He's adding on 12 drones in that production tab. He still has that third up. Of course, it's decently vulnerable. And I wouldn't be surprised if Sen tried to do some sort of timing attack to potentially kill that third base, adding in a lot of queens here. And I feel like the instrumental thing here is, okay, can I do an attack, but while I do this attack, can I defend against a counterattack from a bunch of potential mutas from Moonglade?
He's got some Spore Cores. I mean, I almost feel he just... If Moonglade wants to commit to a counter, Sen's like, okay, if we get in a base trade, that might not be too bad, because I've got a very solid army. If it comes down to one battle between army versus army, he's going to try to hit this Tommy with everything he's got. Moonglade, a 4th hatchery on the way. What Moonglade needs is a lot of roaches,
yes,
because with the queen support, the queen infestor combination is going to be great against the mutas.
Oh, it's going to be fantastic. The queens can just transfuse the roaches over and over again. The infestors scuttling forward as fast as they can to join in on the fun, on the party. Definitely want to throw green slime all over Moonglade, and Moonglade has the units that are vulnerable to that in those mutas. 8 banelings in production here from Moonglade, realizing what's on the way. 10 roaches now in production, plus 1 missile on the way as well as roach speed. Adding on 5 spine crawlers too. He might just give up this third base.
He very well might. He's got a lot of drones there. Those will all go down if he gives up the base. But perhaps he could look. He's going to counter with the mutas maybe. Once his spines get up, he'll feel that he has the opportunity to do that. Meanwhile, right now, not quite willing to send a counter because he's worried about his defense back home.
I'm really okay. The drones.
Oh, they're going to stay alive for now. Sen's afraid to get stuck in the corner.
Okay, that's fair.
He's like, you know what? The drones can live as long as they can't mine. I'm going to keep building up and put pressure on Moonglade.
He could send like 2.
Yes. He probably. I mean, the mutas might kill, but yeah, it would be. I would recommend it. Anyway, his third's coming up though.
Yeah.
Sen could turn this around. His third's 2/3 way done, but he's almost stuck in a position where he can't retreat, because if he retreats, the mutas will kill him. In fact, the mutas are already going for the counter.
Oh no.
Which
could
might
this be the trigger?
Might Sen will have to go attack. I mean, 1 Spore Crawler at the third is not going to stop that mutaflock. There is no way.
All right, Sen approaching his opponent's third base, taking out the hatchery once again, now looking for those drones. They've been shaken in the corner this whole game, or at least the last minute, and they're going to get taken out by the roaches and queens and infestors. Meanwhile, the mutas ravaging the third base of Sen, targeting down the Spore Crawler. More and more roaches in production here from Sen, and he might try to engage into the natural.
I think he has to. The mutas will kill his natural. He only has 1 Spore Crawler there. That's going to go on to the mutas. The mutas are going to kill him. The main story is attack here. Lots of spine cores, but Transfuse is going down on the roaches. Very good micro by Sen.
Oh, Sen's army looking so strong right now. The queen's able to transfuse every single roach. Spine crawler is desperately trying to hold. Meanwhile, Moonglade attacking his opponent's natural expansion with the mutas. Maybe we can get some picture-in-picture here so we can document it all for you. The spine crawler is slowly getting taken down. The natural now being targeted as well. There goes the Baneling Nest. Sen peeling away some roaches to go to the main base, but it looks like the mutas are going to start returning home, realizing their home is in danger, but still plenty of fungals available here for Sen.
He's got lots of fungals. The queens are all still alive. A giant army from Sen. Moonglade's got to find a way to stop it. Sen with a supply advantage. Moonglade's got to micro the heart out with his mutas. If he can split them up, pick off the infestors, he does have enough mutas to handle the queens.
There we go. He's trying to. The mutas getting split up, but they are going to naturally converge. Fungals being thrown out there, but brilliant splitting here from Moonglade, dodging pretty much every single fungal queens, trying to do the damage. An essential magic box here from Moonglade. He's down in supply, but he does have the superior mutas. Once he takes care of the queens and the infestors, there's nothing to stop them from taking care of the roaches, but the layer getting targeted down. Moonglade has enough money to build a hatchery, but doesn't want to lose the layer. There it goes. Sen, great target fire, but all of his roaches are about to fall.
Sen's going to lose his army, but Moonglade can't mine at all. On the other hand, Sen, he's only mining a little bit from his main, but he's building up a nice infestor army back at home. The roaches are all going to go down. Moonglade's got this giant Mutas force. Can he finish Sen off with it before Sen can rebuild the anti-air army? In fact, Sen's already got Hydra that's being produced.
Yeah, Moonglade rebuilding that third, rebuilding that natural expansion, every single unit taken down. Meanwhile, back home, Sen adding on 4 more infestors. The infestation pit wasn't taken out by the Mutas. Very interesting choice there for Moonglade. I think if he had been able to do it over again, he definitely would have targeted that down before retreating back home. But yes, Sen does have those Hydras in production. This could be a great opportunity to get a magic fungal off, but no, Moonglade too good for that. Already preemptively splitting, and he's going to go for the kill.
Oh, 4 infestors. The fungals miss. He didn't lead the Mutas enough. All the infestors going down very quickly. One good fungal hits into Spore Crawler is going to get some kills, but meanwhile, there's too many Mutas. Retreating to another Spore Crawler.
Well,
the micro is really intense here, but now the drone line's under fire.
These Mutas are so important here for Moonglade. That's why he's being so cautious, so careful with them. One fungal, and he loses all that supply. He's not up by much in that supply count, 41 to 34. And now the Hydras are in on the action. The Mutas might be, okay, they might get trapped if they're not careful. I'm a little bit surprised Sen hasn't tried to rebuild an infestor here.
Sen's really hard pressed to make money. His drone count is so small. In fact, Moonglade now has the economic advantage, having rebuilt 2 different hatcheries. Well, actually, Moonglade has a lot of drones just kind of sitting as natural, not working too much. A little bit of a lazy crew there at the very bottom of the map.
Oh, I'm looking. Oh, there.
There they are. So there, once he gets those guys working, he will get the economic advantage. Mutas are flying around the middle, unsure of when to engage. What he was doing here is he's actually just regenerating all that damage. He had so many Mutas that were like partially damaged from the Spore Cores and Infestors. But now there's no Infestors out, so now they're all fully healed up. He can go do more damage, maybe pick off a Hydras or 2.
And 2 are in production, so Moonglade still has to be very cautious of that potential of Sen getting a fungal onto his Mutas. There are 2 Spore Crawlers here in the natural as well, so I don't see these Mutas being effective, at least anymore at this point in time, which means we have a situation where Sen can slowly rebuild. Keep in mind, he still has his lair. I mean, his opponent, has he remade it? No remade lair here from Moonglade. Moonglade has what? A Spire still. Spawning Pool's about to die.
He's got to drop creep so his Spawning Pool doesn't die. Use one of those overwords to keep it alive, because what he wants to do, he wants to make speeding and baiting now. The Mutas are in the middle trying to deny Sen's attack, but I think Sen has to attack very soon, because what's going to happen, yes, Sen kept his main alive, Moonglade did it, but Moonglade has a 2nd and a 3rd base.
Yes.
Sen's main, there's no minerals left there, which means Sen's going to be mining off 1 base economy, while Moonglade is on 2 base economy, and of course that's going to produce twice as many units.
Sure. It's going to be, again, that clock situation here for Sen, but if he can be stupidly cost efficient with his Infestors, with his Hydras against the Mutas, which he has the potential to do, before Moonglade can get any of those tanky units on the field as far as Roaches, maybe Lings, maybe Banelings are concerned, then he has the potential to get a lot of damage done. The question is, when is he going to move out? Is he going to move out? Is he going to just stay back and take a 3rd? Is he just going to focus on drones? It remains to be seen right now, but Moonglade adding on more and more drones to that composition, could be rebuilding that spawning pool that has since died.
Sen's been building nothing but units for the last minute. He's still only on 18 drones, so he's definitely looking to do a timing, perhaps waiting for a few more Infestors. What's going to be key here is the Banings. He's got enough of a Hydra count that in a straight-on fight, I think he can deal with the Mutas. But if any Banings get decent hits, it's going to be so very hard for Sen to win the battle. Of course, trying to spread a creep out.
Oh, the Infestor's coming forward. Moonglade.
A nice win for Moonglade. They're actually getting 2 Hydras, getting out. He'll regenerate any damage on the Mutas. And look at that. He's already got 5 Banings. No Baning speed yet. But he's got more. I mean, he actually can't get it because he has no lair. His lair died. Inspire is about to die too. No creep protecting that. But I don't think he wants to be this anymore. All he wants to do is survive.
Sen is going to have to be able to split those Hydras pretty nicely to dodge the effectiveness of the Banelings, or maybe get some nice fungals on.
If Sen gets good fungals, he's going to take this, but there's so many Banings. Moonglade's shown he knows how to split up his force.
One Hydra being brave, trying to scout out, and here we go. Big engagement going to happen here. Fungals going down from the Infestors, nailing the Banelings, nailing the Mutas, but I don't know if Sen has enough. Moonglade ahead 76 to 48 in supply, and the Banelings starting to connect. More great fungals there from Sen, but now the Mutas feeling comfortable to swoop in, take down the remaining units, and there's the GG from Sen. Moonglade, what a close match there. First of all, we had a base trade in there with the Mutas going to one side, and of course Sen's army coming to the other. Great game from Moonglade, able to really just be patient, be methodical, make sure there's no way he could lose the game, and then set up correctly after that that ultimate engagement. Yeah,
I mean, the whole story of that game was just the mutalist engagements and spreading out his army. In both times when he was flying back to save his main, he spread them out so well. Fungals were very minimized, and then again, that last battle, the banelings. There wasn't any fungal that got more than 3 or 4 banings, and all he needed was a couple crucial baning connects, knock out those Hydrolist, and Immutus can clean up the rest.
That all started with Sen's initial build order, which was, all right, I'm going to stay off of Lair Tech. I'm going to go for a Roach push with supplemental Zerglings and Banelings. Moonglade able to identify that, able to get about 5 Spine Crawlers on the field, and then able to delay long enough for those instrumental Mutas to get out. Because once the Mutas get out, again, Sen had nothing that could shoot up. Moonglade able to take down all those units, able to counterattack, and significant damage done. And from there, it was catch-up for Sen. So great job there by Moonglade. Going to be equalizing this best-of-5 series at 1-1. Guys, get on Team Liquid, get on Reddit, talk about this match because it's awesome. Let's get people in here. Of course, we're trying to find out which one of these players will qualify for the Winter Championship event in Dallas, Texas on March 15th. Guys, Game 3 coming up between Sen and Moonglade. Don't go anywhere.